Hello to the viewers of New Indian Express. As the country is slowly recovering from the aftermath of COVID-19 second wave, much to the concern is now the Delta Plus variant, which is being recorded in many parts of the country. With that comes a lot of questions on whether this variant of coronavirus will escape the vaccines. Will it be more severe? Will it cause the third wave? And how the public health system can tackle it? To answer all these questions, here we have Dr. Chandrakant Laharia, who is a medical doctor, epidemiologist, vaccinologist, immunologist, and policy and public health expert. He has also jointly authored the book Till We Win, India's Fight Against the COVID-19 Pandemic. Thank you so much, doctor, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
The coronavirus mutated, and experts and also studies have said the Delta variant was the cause for the massive second wave in the country. Now there is a Delta Plus variant, and it is said to be a variant of concern by the ICMR. What's the characteristics of this variant and how it is different from the previous Delta variant?
So what we know that in the last few weeks, there have been a lot of discourse about Delta Plus variant. India has reported a few cases, around 50 odd cases of Delta Plus variant, but we also need to remember that there are a number of other countries which have also reported Delta Plus variant. So this has been reported from different parts of the world. India's first sample on which Delta Plus variant has been identified was collected in mid of April 2021. So there has been some time since this variant was circulating and identified recently in the early part of June 2021. What we know, though there was a lot of hype, but now there is a clarity that essentially Delta Plus is very similar to Delta variant. There is one additional mutation in Delta Plus variant, which is K417N. And now this mutation is part of many other mutations which are already there in Delta variant. We know that whenever there are variants which are assigned or described or given a name, there are multiple mutations. So one mutation is not of that much significance. So Delta Plus carry one additional mutation. Scientists are studying that what could be the additional characteristic and clinical features of this variant. But till now, we know that there are early evidence that this additional mutation can result in some resistance in combination monoclonal antibody therapy. But otherwise, the rest of the features till now are very similar to Delta variant. So now it's clear that Delta Plus is very much like Delta variant, unless proven otherwise. The researchers and scientists are doing studies and they are trying to explore whether it results in higher transmissibility or immune escape in comparison of Delta or not. But we don't know anything yet. Now, one of the questions which people might ask that why, if this is so very similar, has been designated as variant of concern. So we need to remember, essentially, Delta Plus is a Delta variant. Now, if Delta is a variant of concern, so automatically the Delta Plus qualify to that kind of designation. It is not very different from Delta, but when we compare with other variants such as Alpha variant, it has all the characteristics of Delta. So Delta Plus and Delta both are 50 to 70% more transmissible in comparison of Alpha variant. Delta Plus and Delta both are has capacity or ability of immune escape, which essentially means individual who was infected in the past can still develop some infection due to this variant. Either of the two variants, both variant Delta and Delta Plus carry the quality of breakthrough infection, which essentially means that individuals who were vaccinated, fully vaccinated, can still get infection. But we need to remember, immune escape and breakthrough infection are only in a small fraction of population. We need to know that vaccines are 80 to 90% efficacious, which essentially means everybody who is vaccinated is not protected. So possibility of breakthrough infection always exists.
You said that the possibility of breakthrough infection exists, but there is also a general question put among people. Does vaccine work against this variant? The ICMR has also said that they were conducting studies on the efficacy of vaccine on this variant. How more can you explain more on that, doctor?
So from different parts of the world now, there are a number of laboratory studies which have emerged. What these studies have found that alpha, beta, gamma, and delta, all variants works against the currently available and licensed vaccines. The only difference which has been found in the newer variants that the amount of neutralizing antibody which are required to neutralize these variants is relatively higher. So the amount of antibody required could be 3 to 7-fold higher for these variants, but all the vaccines, so especially vaccines which are available in India, Covishield, Covaxin, are effective and works against these emerging variants also. These studies have been done outside India. Indian Council of Medical Research completed those neutralizing antibody studies, and they have concluded that these vaccines are effective against currently circulating variants, and which is a good sign. But also, I want to highlight another aspect, that Covishield, which is Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. There is a recently published paper, preprint paper from Oxford Vaccine Group, which have studied the amount of antibody produced after various intervals, including a booster shot. And what they have found that these vaccines, if there is an additional booster shot administered to individual, the amount of antibody produced would be many-fold higher than the completed schedule at the regular interval. And I think that is also very promising, that individual would have a higher level of antibody sustained over a period of time. I also want to flag one more issue. Many of us are concerned that some people everybody has a different level of antibody after vaccination. Some has a particular XYZ level, and a few other might have a 5-fold higher antibody. But we need to remember, currently the protection due to the virus, protection after the vaccination is not linked to the amount of antibody. Anybody who has more antibody above the threshold is protected. Beyond that, it's only symbolic, or it might result in those antibody lasting for a longer period. But protection is not linked to the quantity of antibody. Protection linked to the threshold. And the final part is, antibody is only one of the markers after vaccination. There are cell-mediated immunity. So even if individual has a completely disappearance of antibody, it is likely that individual could be protected due to cell-mediated immune response, and which is usually not measured in the routine process.
And moving forward on the subject of vaccines, presently the dose gap between first dose and second dose gap between vaccines for Covishield is about 2 months time, and more than 2 months also. Do you think the first dose alone would be sufficient enough to protect against this variant?
So this Covishield is Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and we know that when this vaccine was being undergoing clinical trials, this was explored as a single shot vaccine. During the trial, researchers identified that if individual is given 2 shots, the antibody level is likely to be higher. So they amended the protocol, and finally vaccine was released as a 2-shot vaccine. Now, in the original clinical trial, the experts and researchers found that longer the gap between the 2 shots, better the protection, or higher the level of antibody. So majority of countries, including United Kingdom and Spain and other countries, started with the vaccination of individual with the 2 shots at the gap of 12 weeks. India, on the contrary, started the Covishield vaccine at the gap of 4 to 6 weeks, which it was increased to 6 to 8 weeks, and then 12 to 16 weeks. So this is based upon scientific evidence, but also operational reality and evidence emerging from other countries. Now, very recently, in mid of June, Public Health England released the data, which has found that even single shot of vaccine can provide 71% effectiveness against the moderate to severe illness and death. There was another previous study which found that against all symptomatic cases, the protection by single shot is relatively lower, around 30 to 33%. But against the hospitalization and death is 71% after single shot, and after 2 shots it becomes 92%. Now we need to remember that in India and in any setup, the purpose of vaccination is to reduce the hospitalization. Purpose of vaccination is to reduce moderate to severe illness and mortality. So against that parameter, 71% effectiveness after a single shot is a very good protection. And there are a few more studies which have come. The longer the interval between the 2 shots, the higher the level of antibody, which are likely to be linked to better protection. So I personally believe that as countries are rolling out vaccination, when their vaccination coverage is relatively low, that time the longer gap can be really beneficial and can benefit the larger section of population. Finally, I would like to highlight that though people get concerned that, okay, symptomatic illness, the protection is less, but no country is concerned about symptomatic infection. The individual, even after vaccination, might get infection. So vaccination is one of the tools to prevent from this moderate to severe illness, and mask is an approach which we need to follow even before vaccination and after vaccination. The face mask and covering nose and mouth is required to prevent the infection, and that will prevent you from mild illness. Our immediate concern is moderate to severe illness and mortality. and single shot is really beneficial and effective.
Doctor, as of June 5, we had tested at least 45,000 samples under genomic sequence of the Delta variant, and in that, 50 people have tested positive. Do you think we should increase the capacity to sequence samples? And more so in Tamil Nadu, when we tested samples from May, the results came only in June. So there was a 1-month delay. By the time a lot of people, contacts of the positive people may have recovered or may have been moving into the society. So how we can tackle it?
So genomic sequencing, we know, is a time-consuming and expensive process. No country is able to scale up genomic sequencing to that extent because of the limited resources. We also know that Government of India set up a target of 5% of genomic sequencing of the active case or daily reported cases. However, we need to be mindful that the 5% of the cases, for example, 10,000 cases in a day, and that 5% will be 500 cases. That is realistic, feasible. For a country of size of India, when at some point of time 400,000 daily cases were reported, 5% of those cases would essentially means 20,000 of the total cases data sample need to be genomic sequenced, which is impossible. So we need to have a realistic target. We know that when India had 10 labs which were doing genomic sequencing, India had capacity of around 30,000 genomic sequence in a month. That's a monthly capacity. So 1,000 genomic sequence in a day. And that too, when they would not do genomic sequencing for anything else, but only for COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 virus. Now, Indian government has added additional 18 laboratories, and we expect that the laboratory capacity or the sequencing capacity will go higher. So currently it's low, but it will go higher. But I would still advise that approach should not be the only proportionate part, that even for the 50,000 daily cases, 5% is around 2,500 genomic sequencing daily, which is really not possible. India doesn't have that kind of capacity. So in my opinion, what should be done, that India should do smart sequencing, which essentially means it should identify those pockets where the emerging Delta plus variant is emerging and cases are higher. And from those settings, more samples should be collected so we get to know that which variant is circulating. Similarly, something called genotyping assay is conducted, in which you identify a particular section of the variant, like and through the probe, you can do that really quickly. So low cost and fast process. And that's how India can optimally utilize. And final aspect of this genomic sequencing is that probably, since we want to understand newer variants and their clinical effectiveness, so people who died due to COVID-19, their samples should be sent for genomic sequencing, or the children who got severe disease. So we will get a sense of it, that which are the variants which are causing severe illness. As far as Tamil Nadu and other states are concerning, I believe that considering the number of labs were restricted and the states had to send the sample to a designated lab, it was taking time. However, with the number of new labs being set up, and I'm not directly aware about how many labs Tamil Nadu will have, but every state is going to add at least one lab. So the process will be faster. But as I said earlier, we need to be innovative and we need to be really smart enough doing genomic sequencing.
Reports have said that the Delta plus variant has greater affinity towards the lungs. And even the chairman of COVID-19 working group of National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization has said the same. So do you think we should have more studies on that, and how should we approach this aspect of the variant?
So there have been some speculation that Delta plus variant might have additional characters and quality. However, that was the earlier discourse which started soon after India reported Delta plus variant. Now there is a wide clarity, and experts have come up that there are not that much difference between Delta and Delta plus. There are some few more additional studies are going on, and once those studies are available, we will know. With the current evidence, it's difficult to say that Delta plus is more affinity toward the lungs or any other special characteristic. Essentially, Delta plus is very same to Delta variant, with the exception of earlier evidence of resistance toward monoclonal combination antibody therapy.
Thus, now going to the important question, Doctor, as we move to the end of the second wave, does this variant has the potent to cause the third COVID-19 wave in India?
In my opinion, it has no possibility or no potential to cause third wave. The argument and the logic behind this is that India faced second wave due to Delta variant. So majority of the people who got infected in the second wave developed immunity or protection against Delta variant. Now, since we are arguing that Delta and Delta plus are very similar, and individuals are protected against Delta variant, and so they are likely to be protected against Delta plus variant. So with this kind of background, it's very unlikely that the same variant would cause a increase, all of a sudden increase the number of cases, and which will result in third wave. However, third wave could happen over a period of time if due to four factors. So these four factors are: one, that waning immunity. Now, this second wave happened in April and May, and over a period of 6 months, 6 to 9 months, the immunity of those individuals who were infected will reduce, and that's why they might become susceptible again. Though current evidence suggests that people might be protected for longer period, but with minor variation with susceptibility, so susceptible population will increase as the immunity wane. So that's one. Second part is that COVID appropriate behavior is a lot big determinant of how the virus would spread. So if COVID appropriate behavior goes down, then also there is a risk of those susceptible and those with waning immunity both can get disease. Third is that we really don't know if there would be a new variant which can come from any part of the world. And if there is a new variant which is susceptible, which have higher immune escape, then it can cause a third wave. And fourth and most important part of this is vaccination. If we can follow COVID appropriate behavior and quickly scale up our vaccination, then we will reduce the susceptible pool, and that will delay the third wave. And that's how these four factors I said: waning immunity, COVID appropriate behavior decline, newer variants, and vaccination coverage in a different combination will determine when the third wave would happen. If we can scale up vaccination, third wave will be delayed. But in all likelihood, and there is an Indian Council of Medical Research study, modeling study, which has come out a few days ago, which have said that third wave in all likelihood would be far smaller than the second wave. Third wave could be a localized also. It will depend upon all these combination of factors in that local setting. If there is a particular population has a highly susceptible population or susceptible subgroup which is not been infected in the past, the vaccination coverage remain low and COVID appropriate behavior declines as we are seeing, then a localized next wave could happen in some settings, but a national third wave is unlikely before a few months, and it in all likelihood, in all possibility, it will be far smaller than second wave.
Doctor, moving forward, the second wave itself may have happened because of people going back to their normal life. A lot of events happened, like religious festivals, functions, elections, and all that. And COVID appropriate behavior went for a toss in many parts of the country. So as now we again go to the unlock mode, and after the second wave we are relaxing, all the states are slowly heading back to normalcy. How can we learn from the second wave and this time keep the surveillance in check?
So there is no option, but we need to learn from the second wave. Second wave, in some sense, caught us unprepared, unaware. So there are a few things which we need to do to prevent the third wave. One is that the kind of COVID, we now know that COVID appropriate behavior is key to prevent the spread of virus. So the government need to develop a detailed communication strategy for the population as the unlock is happening. It's important that unlock is done in smart way. The moment the restrictions are being removed, the COVID appropriate behavior awareness should be stepped up. And as and when there is a laxity in the COVID appropriate behavior, appropriate corrective action should be taken. A very good example is Bangladesh, what Bangladesh did. That Bangladesh, when they were opening up after their previous wave, they started distribution of free distribution of masks at the public places. Then also they use the role models who will advise and influence people to wear masks. So, and then they also gave some punitive measures, but also incentives to the people to adopt those mask behaviors. So one is that unlock smartly and encourage people to adopt COVID appropriate behavior. Second is, in my opinion, is that there should be a state specific strategy, that each of the states should keep looking at the localized scenario, use the data, that what is the test positivity rate, how the R0 is going or changing over a period of time with so they will get a sense of transmission and accordingly develop a strategy. Third is, in my opinion, genomic sequencing, as we have discussed, is essential to track the virus, any change which is emerging from there. And fourth is that we need to prepare our health system And not only for the medical treatment services, but we also need to prepare to deliver preventive services. People need to be made aware about the health needs. The testing services need to be scaled up, especially in rural area. The treatment services should also be scaled up in rural areas. So as and when wave happens, people can get treatment closer to their healthcare facility. One of the approach could be that India has a large number of smaller facility, government facility, primary health centers. Those facilities need to be made functional. The oxygen cylinders should be made available in those facilities. So people who require admission can be admitted there. This will be an opportunity to actually transform. Even if COVID wave does not happen, it will be a strengthened health system. So that's what India should do. Finally, India need to really step up vaccination drive. And stepping up vaccination drive, in my opinion, need two things. One, of course, government need to ensure supply and delivery, but government also need to work upon vaccine hesitancy so that people who are hesitant to get vaccination, and especially in rural area, urban slums, so appropriate strategies are implemented so the people come forward and take the vaccines. And that's how we will fight this wave. And there can be many other approaches. But I would also say that India also need to think beyond the third wave, preparedness for third wave, but beyond third wave, in the future when we will vaccinate population, how we will unlock, how we will prepare to open the schools, how the society, social life will come to the normal. So all of those futuristic planning should also be done.
And moving towards the final question, Doctor, for the people, how can they protect themselves from getting infected by COVID-19?
So people often ask me this question, and my answer is that one, no matter which variant is circulating, for every single variant, the prevention approach is same, the COVID appropriate behavior. The face mask, which should cover your nose and mouth, physical distancing, which essentially translate that we should avoid going to public places and going to any crowded places. Avoid any social gathering, avoid going to marriage and other functions, avoid everything which you can avoid till we are in the COVID-19 pandemic. And then third is hand washing, we need to keep doing. And this is applicable for all type of variants. So don't worry about which variant is emerging. Of course, government need to take care of those, identify them. But for all of us, the same measures are same, COVID appropriate. Second, individuals who are eligible for vaccination, they should get themselves vaccinated. On returning to the COVID appropriate behavior, I would say that people need to understand that as the cases go down, people stop following COVID appropriate behavior. But what we need to remember that even when cases have come down from 400,000 to 50,000, it conveys that virus is still around. The number of cases has come down, but virus has not gone anywhere. So we need to keep following those COVID appropriate behavior till any part of the world is in the mid of the pandemic. We are seeing in other parts of the world that the cases are rising because people feel relaxed. Israel had removed the mask mandate and then their cases increased and they have come back to mask again. So people make mistake that, okay, if in this area, government or there is not that much kind of vigilance or they will not be fine, they don't wear mask. But we don't have to wear mask because government is telling us. We have to wear mask because our safety is in our hand. So people really need to follow COVID appropriate behavior, and which we discussed, and get vaccinated and advise others to follow this behavior. And that's how we can contribute to fight the pandemic and keep ourselves safe, our family members safe, and we'll come out of this pandemic.
Thank you so much for your time, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.